Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the Mad Hatter, logging back in, reporting live from the shadows of your mind. I'm here to talk about Power 105.1's DJ Envy, and this whole thing about Stop and Frisk. So I know many of you know what Stop and Frisk is or was. It was widely used in New York City and the surrounding areas. It was ruled unconstitutional recently due to basically breaking the Constitution. Instead of looking for high crime activities or high crime activity areas, it was basically targeting people of Muslim origin and blacks and Latinos. So DJ Envy, in an interview or on his show, said the following. I'm going to read you what he said. So after Charlemagne on his showmate was talking, this is what Envy said. He says, quote, "They got a lot of guns off the streets," end quote. He added, quote, "The way that the NYPD was doing it was unconstitutional. They didn't do it in the way that it was supposed to be done. That's why they pulled it from New York. They said if it was done right, the effectiveness probably would have been a lot higher," end quote. So Black Twitter went a little bit ham on him. They're calling him a coon. They were like, "We gotta take away your hip hop card." I was a victim, not a victim, but I was a perpetrator of this sort of ideology where if you don't always agree with what most black people think, you're this, you're that. But we got to stop doing that as black people. We got to stop calling each other coons, sellouts, this and that. Because even if we do, first off, even if you do have a differing point of view, that's how diverse the black community is. But he wasn't even supporting the unconstitutional use of it of stop and frisk. He essentially said what he did say was that the practice was unconstitutional. That's why they scrapped it. But if it was done right, if the police officers were properly trained, if there was competence from the people in charge, then we might have had some different results. But the numbers do overall show that as stop and frisk became less prominent and it wasn't widely used, crime still did continue to go down. A lot of that is because the amount of lead that we used to use in the U.S. has drastically fallen. And lead leads to violent tendencies. It does different things to your brain. It changes the gray matter in your brain, which allows you to empathize, sympathize, all that kind of stuff. And people aren't as drunk as they used to be, which is leading to less violent attacks. But DJ Envy's arguments were this. If you were on the street at 5 a.m., let's be real, what are you doing? Or not at 5 a.m., but 1 or 2 a.m., midnight, what are you really doing? Even if you're a kid, what are you doing? So if the police were to do their job right, and they were to stop and frisk you based on suspicion, based on some reasonable or probable cause, they would have every right to do that. Again, the problem is they need to target high crime areas regardless of race. But let's be real. Every major city is made up of mostly brown people. So it's going to seem racist in the beginning to stop and frisk, but really what it is it's targeting high crime areas. But again, the police did take it too far in this specific instance in NYC, and they targeted brown people. They cut corners and they fucked up. My personal opinion on this matter is, again, it has to be done with suspicion, and it has to reasonable suspicion, and it has to be done constitutionally, which wasn't the case. We also, if we're going to go into cities, we also have to go into rural areas because there are dangerous people in cities, there are dangerous people in rural areas. So we have to go into these rural areas And we have to also bust people who use meth and who are heroin users who are predominantly white. But the reason why we don't do that, and people I think need to understand this important distinction, the important reason why I think police officers are targeting blacks is because of property. The inner cities have higher property value. They are cities. They are surrounded by banks and high rises and places of high value. So that's why they don't value our lives as black people. And unless we get that through our thick ass skulls, we're going to keep getting busted, keep getting blasted by the cops, keep getting killed, keep killing ourselves because we don't understand how this system works. It's all about money. That's why people get so mad when black people riot and tear down cities. They don't give a fuck about Freddie Gray. They give a fuck about property because property is all that matters in the U.S. People need to realize that. Final thoughts. People think, like DJ Envy said, people think that, if we hold hands, sing Kumbaya, that it's going to fix everything. Criminals are criminals. Singing Kumbaya and, doing peace chants is not going to stop criminals from being criminals. It's not going to stop people from raping. It's not going to stop people from killing. Criminals exist, so we have to be based in reality. And we also have to stop sticking up for criminals. Yes, a lot of black people, most black people, just like any race, are not criminals. However, the police are doing certain things to get criminals. They are putting themselves out there. They are going to make mistakes. The problem is the system. It is the police, but the bigger problem is the system, which does not prosecute police. So we need to focus on the system more so than the actual police. Even though they are doing the killings, we got to focus more on the top and go down from there. And it's also important that we train our officers, again, to not violate rights, but there's little incentive to do so when every month, they're getting hit with quotas. Hey, you gotta arrest this many people. You gotta have this many citations here and there. It's very hard, and there's little incentive for these police to actually not violate rights. And lastly, any fucking racist that wants to hop on this video in my channel and talk about, yeah, that's right, this is why black people suck, this is why brown people suck, you guys are violent. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that people are inherently violent. I'm saying that the police need to do it right and target areas that are of high crime regardless of race. Where they fucked up is they started to target people based on race. So get the fuck out of here and fuck off if you have any shit to say about how black people are more violent and yeah, we gotta go after black people. That's not what I'm saying. I don't think that's what DJ Envy is saying. And yeah, I'm gonna leave that there. And let me know what you guys think.